Jonathan Bernier from Le Journal de Montréal. Tomorrow's night, do you feel it's going to be the good guys against the villains?
Yeah, I guess. I think it's going to be like really, really, really good hockey players against really, really good hockey players. And you've gone through the history of international hockey, and a couple decades ago, the U.S.-Canada probably wasn't a big deal, but because of, the progression USA Hockey in the last, 20 years has really propelled them to the forefront of hockey. And much like probably Sweden, Finland will be earlier in the day, this is pretty much the same thing, except for it's on our turf. So I think I think it's going to be a ton of fun. I think that day, for so many reasons, with both those games going on, will be just, to quote Bob Johnson, a great day for hockey.
Go second row on the right.
Coop, Ryan Mashog from TSN. Just to clarify quickly, do you expect Cale Makar to be available for tomorrow night?
Expect is a big word, but I'm confident. I'm confident he'll be there.
Having watched the U.S. play last night, you have just some thoughts on their style of play, maybe a bit of what we saw from a physical standpoint, what you expect?
Well, I've coached against their coach for a decade, so pretty much know how that goes. I've coached against pretty much every player in every situation in playoff rounds, and they have an exceptional team. And so I think when you're plucking players off all these NHL teams and putting best on best, you're going to get a high intense, I would imagine, highly physical, great effort, kind of in-your-face game. I can't imagine it being anything else. Most of these kids, and I call them kids because they didn't play in 2014. I mean, who played in that? Sid and Drew? Anybody else? Anybody in the U.S.? So this is new for everybody. And I think because of that, because it's new, because it's fresh, and because it's been so long, the boys will be amped up on both sides. And it'll, like I said, this will be a unique game. The Canada-Sweden game and U.S.-Finland, they were, kind of the first games. But this will, for the prelim, will probably be the game because of the games that are going on, during the day.
Go back row on the left.
John, what do you appreciate about Brandon Hegel's game, and what can you say about his journey? I mean, from junior, very obscure position he was in, and then now he's on Team Canada.
Yeah, well, he's kind of the journey less traveled, to get to this particular team. And there's a lot of undrafted guys that have played in the NHL, and obviously not the lion's share, but to be able to get to a best-on-best tournament and play for the country of Canada, you've had to do something special. And it's, there's simple words like gamer. That's the one that comes to mind of Hags. He's got an engine. He never quits. His hockey sense, all these things that I think, at times, skill players do certain things. He does all these things that probably don't make their way into the newspaper until you're in a tie game with 7 minutes left and you need a penalty kill and you need a puck chucked out of the corner 200 feet. Your guy is doing is Brendan Hegel. And he was brought here to excel in those situations, and he does that. And he's just another alpha in a room full of alphas, and he's not afraid of the moment, even though his road here and has been much different than most.
Front row on the right.
John, Josh Kluber of the Canadian Press. Sam Bennett coming in the lineup. We saw what the Kachucks did last night. What do you hope Sam can bring along with Brad, and what do you expect from those two who have had some meetings in the playoffs before?
Yeah, it'll be interesting if Sam and Matthew meet in a corner at some point. So, listen, Sam, I hope nobody's sitting here thinking Sam was brought here just to play against USA. Sam was brought here to play for Team Canada and play his game. And he that kid has been nothing but an awesome soldier in this whole group and this whole time. And, you know, as he said to me, he's like, Coop, if you asked me to play on this team and you told me I wasn't going to play any of the games, I still would have come. And so you kind of, you know, you're cheering for somebody with that type of attitude. But you know, our goal was to make sure everybody got in at least one game. And, you know, it's just unfortunate how, you know, some guys are getting, like Sandy's getting in this game because of an injury. And, but, you know, Sam has proven, if he hasn't shown this in the last couple playoffs, he rises to the occasion in these big moments, especially when the physicality and the game is at its brightest. He's done a heck of a job, and we expect that from him tomorrow.
Stay on the right side, Coop.
Evan Moran here, Toronto Star. You're getting an amazing support from the fans here in Montreal, but just wonder your thoughts on the fans last night booing the American anthem, what they'll probably do again tomorrow.
Well, we can't say that for sure. We hope it doesn't happen. I think people have their personal feelings, and I think sometimes it gets mushed together when, you know, you bring politics into sports. And I guess for me, there's a whole, like, the NHL is great because there's so many players from so many different countries. And, you know, when they're wearing the home jersey, you know, it's okay. Everybody cheers for them. But if they put on the away jersey, you know, they're booing them. And I'm okay with the, like Willie Nylander got booed in that Sweden game. They weren't getting booed because he was a Swede. They were getting booed because he was a Leaf. And I'm okay with that. You know, like, that's where the interaction happens. But when you start bringing the anthem and the politics into that, like, the players are representing their country, and it's great in that aspect. But to me, you're clouding two issues, and I just think everybody should come here and cheer for, like, the great game, and just kind of leave that part out of it. And because I'd like the same for us, you know, when we go to other countries as well. These countries have been around way before us, and I think we should respect that.
Front row, Coop on the left.
John, I'm curious about any personal memories or connection to the USA-Canada rivalry that you have, not just necessarily as a coach, but also someone who's, you know, spent a lot of time in both countries.
Wait, ask that again. I'm sorry.
Just a personal connection to the USA-Canada rivalry, or certainly memories you have.
Okay, so I'll give you a quick funny story. So I'm born in Prince George. My late mother, miss her every day. She passed in 2020, but she was born in San Francisco. And when she met my father, they moved to Prince George, and she lived there her whole life. But she never changed her citizenship. So every time there was a U.S.-Canada game, you know, she was staunch USA, and the rest of us were staunch Canada. So then the 1980 Olympics happened. And so there was this, I don't know where I found it, but it used to drive, my dad hated me for it. So it was this rock, and it was a picture of the U.S. Olympic team. And every time you walked by it, if you hit the button, it would be Al Michaels, "Do you believe in miracles?" Yes. And so I bought it for her for Christmas, and I thought my dad was going to kill me because for the rest of time, she would just press it anytime they were in an argument, and it would just drive him nuts. So that's my U.S.-Canada. Even though it wasn't against Canada, that was my USA hockey memory that drove my dad nuts.
3 more, Coop. Second row on the right.
John, just quickly before I get to my actual question, but Bennett.
Oh, you did this yesterday.
Well,
when I said there was only...
I'm cramming it in. It just...
No, you're being greedy.
Okay. Bennington in net again tomorrow?
Well, I got to tell the goalies first before I'm going to tell you.
Okay. If this game goes to overtime, have you had further discussion of how you'd like to deploy, you know, with 10 minutes and, you know, Nate saying he was gassed? I mean, would you revisit how you would attack that? So, you know, as every
as you probably saw, like there were like different groups together and going out and stuff like that. I don't know if the reason Nate was gassed is because he kept circling back and was having these unbelievable rushes. So he created his own, skate for himself. But yeah, like I'll talk to the guys and see how they felt and of that nature. But he particularly skated a lot of miles in that overtime for good reason, and had multiple scoring chances because of it. Maybe I should have said, why don't you put one of those in, then you wouldn't have to skate so much. But no, you don't want to go to overtime. Would love to win that game in regulation, but now that we've been through it, I'm kind of glad for, a lot more prepared now for this moving forward, especially with a bunch of guys you haven't coached before.
Last two, second row on the left.
What's been the most interesting thing about working with Rick Tocchet, and how would you describe his, kind of unique position on your staff in that he has played at the highest level and can connect with the players that way?
Yeah, I think everybody's got an extremely valuable spot on this staff. It's actually amazing to me that he played in the '87 Canada Cup. Like, it's shocking, and not he deserved to be there, but he's just such a young guy. It doesn't feel like he was, he should have been there. And the one thing about Talk, he is so relatable, and you kind of hang on everything he says. And so his experiences and what he's gone through and educating our players, and it's phenomenal. His relationship with Sid is second to none. He's got the respect of everybody, and he's just that guy that passes information on. And like you're looking about the glue on everybody's staff. You'd have to sit there and say Rick Tocchett's a big part of it for us.
Last but not least, Renaud.
Thank you, Sam. John, Renaud Lavoie, TVA Sport. You talked a little bit about the crowd, but I don't want to talk about the anthem. I want to talk about the impact of that crowd on your team, especially in a game like tomorrow night. Is there any, you think, in your mind?
Oh, my God. Let's just talk about the first couple minutes of the Sweden game. And I think I said this the other night, Mario Lemieux never played for the Montreal Canadiens, but how they treated one of their own and the energy they gave him and the ovation, and then what they did for Sid, it was deafening. Like everybody talked about the chills they had. And I truly believe, we scored that goal the way we did because of the energy the Montreal crowd gave.